So I just finished my maximum effort month doing keto, intermittent fasting, and exercise every single day for 30 days straight. And today, I'm going to share with you the results. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. As you may have gathered from the intro, I just did a 30-day stint of doing strict keto, intermittent fasting, and daily exercise in order for me to figure out just how much body fat percentage I can do, giving a really strong effort. If you're interested about the details of my protocol throughout the month, I'll link the video right up here where I announced that max effort month challenge to myself. Now, I've been doing keto and intermittent fasting for half a year, starting on January 1st. And I started with a 20-hour daily fast and a 4-hour eating window, having 2 meals a day, and then in February, I did the same thing except for migrated over to 1 meal a day. And then in March, April, and May, I basically reverted back to allowing myself a 4-hour eating window every day. But as the months rolled on, I realized, especially in the middle of May to the end of May, I started giving myself a little bit too many liberties. For example, sometimes I'd extend my eating window to 6, 7, even 8 hours a day. And that gradual yet noticeable reduction, I guess you can say, of discipline made me really want to say, you know what? If ever there was a time to give myself a really strong effort, June would be the perfect month. Now, like most of my videos on this channel, there are 3 distinct sections. Section 1 are the results from my 1 month of a maximum effort. Section 2 are the experiential lessons that I learned. And section 3 is what's next? Where do I go from here? But before I do that, I just want to bring up this photo over here that my sister sent me. And my sister took this photo of me back in October or November of last year. And then about 2 weeks ago, she took this photo of me. And because I see myself every day, of course I know there's a difference. But seeing these 2 photos taken just, about 7 months apart was really motivating and just further validating to me how effective keto and intermittent fasting combined are for me. But if I have to be really honest, I have to thank all of you who are following me on my Instagram right over here for helping me stay accountable. Because if it wasn't for that extra layer of forced discipline, there's no way that I would have been able to stick so strictly throughout this past 6 months. So thank you guys so much. So let's dive in. What were the results of my maximum effort month? Now, I'm going to continue saying this, and despite sounding like a broken record, I just feel really strongly about it. And that is that weight is a horrible metric to be tracking. But because society has conditioned us to anchor it when it comes to our own weight and fat loss journeys, I'll provide that metric. But if you're curious as to why weight is such a bad metric, I'll link the video right up here. And I really welcome you to watch it. But the short version, and I'll bring up the graphic right over here, I started on day 1 at 169.8 pounds, and on day 30, I dropped down to 162.6 pounds, for a total drop of 7.2 pounds. Again, I don't think that weight is a good metric to track, but I know that more often than not, it's the most natural one for us to think about. But let's move on to body fat percentage, which is significantly more valuable and more important to me. I started on day 1 at 23.1% body fat, and I dropped exactly 1 full percent to 22.1%. This was probably the most satisfying one for me because over the past few months, I've been dropping 0.5% or 0.6%, something like that. And it was good to see that the protocol that I set forth for this past month and the maximum effort that I gave yielded better results in one of the metrics that matters most to me. Body fat percentage. Now, if you guys saw one of my first videos of this year, my goals for 2020, you'll know that I started the year at 27.1% body fat, which is clinically obese. And one of my core longer term goals for the entire year is at the very end of this year, by December 31st, that I will have dropped a total of 10% body fat and be at 17.1% body fat. And so this max effort month was quite encouraging for me because going from 23.1 to 22.1 means that if I continue to lose 1 full percent every single month, then I'll be able to actually hit my final year's goal of 17.1% by the end of November. Now, of course, the more you lose, the harder it gets to lose. So I'm not assuming that I'm going to get to my final goal of 17.1%, but it's still a strong smoke signal for me that this max effort month and the effort put forth pays off. And I'm really looking forward to validate if I can continue losing that much month over month over month. But for now, let's head over to section 2 of this video, which are the experiential lessons that I learned. The first one is that consistent daily exercise for a complete workout newbie like myself is tough. I thought at the beginning of the month when I was making the plan that I could have a really regimented daily workout that I could repeat every single day. And by the 3rd day, I was so sore because of how new I am to working out that for the rest of the month, I just had to kind of play it by ear. Whatever wasn't sore, I would exercise. Sometimes I'd totally ignore the regimen and just go for a long walk instead. And so what that taught me is that for somebody who's new to working out, but is pretty determined to make that into a habit, I'm gonna have to put a lot more generosity of thought and effort and front load the planning so that I can design something based on my learnings of the past month to form an exercise regimen that is maybe not repeated every single day, but staggered. Yes, of course, I'll be exercising every day, but creating a regimen where I give different parts of my body time to rest and recuperate to enable myself to really get into the swing of working out. The second experiential lesson I learned is, I guess, one that I've learned since last year when I started trying out with the slow carb diet, but it really further validated the value of having the same few go-to meals. Repeating the same few meals, for me, it's 5 or 6 meals, does so many things, not the least of which, likening back to the last video I made, which really has to do more with minimalism, but it's the fact that having these same go-to meals means that you're removing so much decision-making complexity when it comes to deciding what to eat, what to buy at the grocery store, and creating a system that really forces you to become laser focused on executing against the plan instead of even allowing yourself to become tempted by going to the candy aisle, for example, at the grocery store. If you're interested in the 5 meals that I go to, I'll link that video right up here. And in that video, in the description, there's a link to a 100% free, no strings attached meal planning spreadsheet where you can see the 5 meals on a spreadsheet, all of the different ingredients, their macro breakdowns, their caloric values, all that kind of stuff. But heading on to the last experiential lesson that I learned this past month, and I think this one was surprising to me and in a good way. What I mean by that is that the experiential lesson ultimately is that our own assumed dependencies on certain things are nowhere near as critical or vital as we thought they were. The exact example for me was one of the rules that I imposed for myself for this max effort month that just finished is that I would no longer allow myself that 35% full fat cream in my morning coffee. If I wanted to have full fat cream in my coffee, I'd have to wait for that 4-hour eating window to drink it. Which means that other than one day where I accidentally slipped up, every single morning whenever I did have coffee, it would just be straight up black coffee. Now, as somebody who loves both sweetening and cream in their coffee, I assumed that this was such a strong dependency. But honestly, because when I wake up, really what I'm looking for is the caffeine. By like day 5 or 6, it was a non-issue. And now every morning, I naturally just have a black coffee. And so the whole point of sharing this experiential lesson is that we all have those things, especially when it comes to food, that we just truly believe that we're dependent on. But creating a plan and a commitment, especially a finite commitment like 1 month, I'm willing to bet that you'll be able to surprise yourself at barreling through those assumed dependencies and experiencing greater results than you ever thought possible. Now, right before we head on to the last section of this video, which is my plan for what's next, I just want to also give a huge thank you to everybody who's joined the private Facebook group, Get It Together. It was a place where I was able to post my daily summaries every single day during the course of the max effort month, and the encouragement, the questions asked, the advice given to me was a huge motivating factor to enabling me to be able to swing right through that maximum effort month. Now, that private Facebook group is just a place for all of us to be able to ask questions, share advice and tips and lessons in our own individual journeys of getting it together, whatever the context might be. And so the link for that private Facebook group is in the description below as well. But diving into the last section of this video, section 3, which is what's next? What's the plan going forward from here? Well, the first thing is to recognize that this past month was truly nowhere anywhere near actual maximum effort. And so starting today, I'm going to be starting another 30 days of a maximer effort month. But the most important thing is that with the data points that I've collected through the last month's challenge, I now am able to set actual quantitative goals for myself. Now, before I start setting the goals, I'm gonna have to put up the new stats since I had a cheat day 2 days ago. It was a disgusting cheat day. I had over 7,000 calories. And so of course I did some damage and lost some of the results that I experienced in that max effort month. I just weighed myself on the smart scale, and that one cheat day, I gained back 5.8 pounds, and now I'm at 168.4 pounds. And I gained back 0.6% body fat, going from 22.1 to 22.7%. Of course, there's water weight involved, and I'm sure in the next 2 days, I'm gonna lose a significant amount of both of those. But at least now I have the data point to realistically set the next month's goals. So when it comes to weight, as you know, I genuinely couldn't care less about weight. This means that the only quantitative metric that I'm worried about is body fat percentage. My max effort month yielded a final result of 22.1, and even though cheat day 2 days ago brought me back up to 22.7, my goal is to use that 22.1 result and aim to drop a full percent from there so that at the end of July, I'll be at 21.1% body fat. That's the only quantitative metric goal that I have. From a qualitative metric standpoint, I also only have one goal, and it has to do with exercise and working out. Candidly, between me and you, this past month, although I did exercise and work out every single day it felt like a chore, something that I would have rather not done. And I want to contrast that to things that like fitness YouTubers say quite frequently, which is they love working out so much, and it's to the point where if they don't work out, they feel like crap. And so the qualitative goal for this month is for me to structure and plan for a workout regimen that I can execute every single day, and hopefully, at the very least, no longer feel like it's a chore. In other words, in no uncertain terms, by the end of July, my goal is that when it comes to working out, doing exercise every single day is a natural occurrence and doesn't feel like it's something that I'm forcing myself to do. If you got value out of this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe. If you have any questions or want to debate anything, hit up the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.